For years, Tom Smith, a beloved face from the hit show Fast and Loud, held his tongue about the real battles behind the scenes. Now, the silence is shattered. Tom is finally ready to pull back the curtain and reveal the shocking truth about the cast members he simply couldn't stand. Who were they, and what dark secrets led to such deep resentment? Tom Smith's wild ride. Before the roar of Gas Monkey Garage engines filled living rooms across America, Tom Smith was already living a life fueled by speed, laughter, and a deep, often private, love for cars. His journey into the automotive world began not under the glare of TV lights, but in the quiet moments of a childhood spent in Ohio or Georgia. Even as a boy, Tom had a special knack for taking machines apart, and more importantly, putting them back together, making them run smoother and faster than before. He wasn't just a mechanic. He was a natural with an almost magical touch for making cars drive just right, a skill known as drivability. But Tom's early life wasn't all grease and gears. It had its share of wild adventures, too. Imagine a 10-year-old Tom out on a joyride, feeling the thrill of the open road. Suddenly, flashing lights in the rearview mirror. Instead of stopping, young Tom decided to play a real-life game of cat and mouse, trying to escape the police. The chase ended with a crash, a collision with a police cruiser. This wasn't just a childhood prank. It was a glimpse into the fearless, rule-bending spirit that would later make him a standout on television. He was a character from the start, always pushing boundaries, always ready for a laugh, even if it meant a little chaos. Beyond the garage, Tom harbored another passion: comedy. Even while filming the demanding reality show, he was moonlighting as a professional stand-up comic, performing regularly at improv clubs. It's no surprise, given his quick wit and hilarious one-liners that often stole scenes on Fast and Loud. He brought a unique blend of mechanical genius and comedic timing to everything he did. And if that wasn't enough, Tom also dedicated his time to a softer side, helping to rescue and transport needy dogs, showing a compassionate heart beneath his tough exterior. His dream, even as a child, was to own his own garage, a place he envisioned calling F&U. This dream would later become a reality, though not without its own set of challenges and the very people who would test his patience to its limits. He was an original member of Fast and Loud, a familiar face from the very beginning, before the dramatic split that would lead him to co-found Misfit Garage. Tom Smith was a man of many layers, a true gearhead with a comedian's soul and a rescuer's heart, all of which would be put to the test in the high-pressure world of reality television. And speaking of pressure, who was the first person to truly push Tom to his breaking point? Richard Rawlings. The story of Tom Smith's deep frustrations often begins and ends with Richard Rawlings, the loud and proud owner of Gas Monkey Garage. Their relationship was a powder keg waiting to explode, and when it did, it sent shockwaves through the automotive reality TV world. Tom's departure from Gas Monkey Garage was not just a simple goodbye, it was a profound split, a dramatic exit that had been building for a long time. Tom, a man with a long career in the automotive world and a deep passion for cars, had strong ideas about how things should be done. He had spent years honing his craft, and when he joined Gas Monkey Garage, he brought that wealth of experience with him. But the garage environment led by Richard often stifled Tom's creative spirit. There were significant creative differences between them, with Tom feeling he did not have enough say in the projects. Imagine pouring your heart and soul into a build, only to have your vision constantly overruled, or to be told to rush a job that needed careful attention. The show often made it seem like cars were built in a flash, but in reality, a 3-day job could be edited to look like an afternoon's work, hiding the true hours and effort involved. This clash was almost bound to happen, given Tom's blunt and honest personality, and Richard's equally strong, business-first approach. The tension reached its boiling point over a seemingly small incident that blew up into a full-blown confrontation. Tom and fellow mechanic Jordan Butler had allowed a young fan with cystic fibrosis to pose for a picture with Richard's prized Rolls-Royce. It was a kind gesture, a moment of humanity in a fast-paced world. But Richard, known for his fiery temper and protectiveness over his cars, reacted with explosive profanity, ordering the fan away. This was the final straw. Tom, standing up for what he believed was right, allegedly cussed out his boss during the heated disagreement. The result was immediate. Tom Smith was abruptly fired from Gas Monkey Garage. Beyond this dramatic clash, deeper issues simmered. Tom felt the heavy burden of the daily grind. He often worked long hours, putting in immense effort due to his strong work ethic. Yet, despite his dedication, he felt a painful lack of recognition for his contributions. It is hard to feel appreciated when you are constantly pushing yourself without feeling seen or valued. This feeling of being undervalued, combined with the relentless pace, slowly built up a deep resentment. Adding to the tension were the financial disputes that simmered beneath the surface at Gas Monkey Garage. Richard Rawlings was not just the owner, he was also the financial budgeter, controlling how much money went into each project and how the garage was run. Money issues can strain any relationship, and in a high-stakes business like custom car building, disagreements over compensation or project budgets can quickly turn sour. These financial frustrations were not minor. They were a significant source of conflict that made the long hours and creative disagreements even harder to bear. The way Richard ran the business, prioritizing media attention and quick turnarounds, seemed to clash with Tom's focus on the craft and fair treatment. The show, after all, made its money from viewings and advertising, not just from selling cars. This fundamental difference in values led to a deep dislike for Richard's operational style and what Gas Monkey Garage had become under his leadership. The depth of this professional and personal rift became crystal clear when Tom decided to leave Gas Monkey Garage and, with Jordan Butler, co-found his own venture, Fired Up Garage, which became the basis for the spin-off show Misfit Garage. It was a necessary escape from an environment that Tom found unbearable, an environment largely shaped by Richard Rawlings. Some even speculated that the firing was staged, a dramatic move to create buzz for the new spin-off show. Whether staged or not, the conflict was real enough for Tom. But Richard wasn't the only one Tom found himself at odds with. What about the man who worked right by his side, the quiet genius of the garage, Aaron Kaufman? Aaron Kaufman. Aaron Kaufman was another key mechanic at Gas Monkey Garage, known for his incredible talent and his own strong opinions. He was often seen as the quiet genius, the beard behind the builds, who turned Richard's visions into reality. It might seem strange to think Tom would have issues with Aaron, especially since Aaron also eventually left Gas Monkey Garage for reasons that sounded very similar to Tom's: a desire for more creative freedom and a different work environment. Both men clearly felt the pressures of the garage and the show. Yet, even when people share similar frustrations, their paths can diverge in ways that create new kinds of tension. Aaron's departure in 2017, after 10 seasons, was abrupt and shocked fans. He explained that there was too much pressure to get cars done for the TV schedule, and he wanted time for longer, more detailed builds. The garage, he felt, had become a stage where deadlines replaced precision, and the craftsmanship he loved was buried under cameras, sponsors, and stress. He left to save himself, to protect his love for the smell of grease and the sound of an engine roaring to life. He found his peace in a modest Dallas workshop, building again on his own terms, far from the TV deals and drama. So where does Tom's hate for Aaron come in? It wasn't about direct arguments or personal animosity between them. Tom felt a sense of disappointment, or even resentment, that Aaron jumped ship before him, leaving Tom to deal with Richard and the demanding environment alone for a longer period. Tom and Jordan were fired in February 2014, while Aaron left in 2017. This gap might have created a feeling of being left behind in the struggle. Tom hoped for a stronger alliance, a united front against the issues they both faced at Gas Monkey Garage. When Aaron left independently, it might have dashed those hopes, leading to a feeling of being misunderstood or even abandoned in a shared struggle. Aaron's spin-off show, Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman, which premiered in 2018, also had a different, more serious tone than Fast and Loud, which might have further distanced him from the more comedic and chaotic energy Tom brought to the screen. The bond between Richard and Aaron, once like brothers, had also bent under the weight of success, proving that fame can indeed crack even the strongest foundations. While the mechanics had their own battles, a different kind of friction often came from the office. Who was the gatekeeper Tom couldn't stand, the one who seemed to stand between the mechanics and what they needed? Sue Martin. Every busy garage needs someone to keep the wheels turning behind the scenes, and at Gas Monkey Garage, that person was Sue Martin. Known for her sharp wit and iconic catchphrase, "Why you always bring me junk?" Sue was a fan favorite, a tough-as-nails upholstery queen who could turn the most battered car interiors into gleaming masterpieces. But here's the twist. Sue wasn't actually an employee of Gas Monkey Garage. She ran her own successful upholstery shop, ASM Auto Upholstery, located just down the street from Richard's garage. Richard had discovered her quality work 12 years prior and had been a client ever since. It is easy to see how her position, despite her independent status, could put her at odds with Tom, even if there was no personal animosity. Tom's frustrations at Gas Monkey Garage included financial disputes and a feeling of being overworked without proper recognition. As the person handling the interiors for Gas Monkey's big builds, Sue was often on the receiving end of Richard's ridiculously short deadlines. These deadlines were very real, especially since Richard's vehicles were often scheduled for sale at auctions. To meet these impossible demands, Sue and her team had to put several employees on Gas Monkey projects and work late into the night. For Tom, Sue might have become a symbolic figure of the very system he was rebelling against. She was perceived as a barrier to the mechanic's needs, someone who had to prioritize Richard's agenda and the business's bottom line over the well-being and fair treatment of the workshop crew. Imagine a mechanic needing a specific part or a certain budget for a project, only to face delays or denials from the office, or to see the upholstery work, which was crucial for a finished car, being rushed to meet a TV deadline. Even if Sue was just following orders or doing her best under pressure, her actions could have been seen by Tom as contributing to his discontent. The pressure she faced to meet deadlines for Richard's projects directly impacted the flow and stress of the entire garage. The hate for Sue, in this context, wasn't about personal malice. Instead, it was a deep dislike for her perceived role in upholding an environment that Tom found unfair and unsustainable. She was part of the establishment that Tom was fighting against, a key enabler or executor of policies that negatively impacted him and his fellow mechanics. Sue eventually vanished from the show without a formal goodbye, and neither she nor Richard ever commented on her disappearance. But she didn't fade away. She walked away, choosing to focus on her thriving business, which was already busy with many car dealership accounts even before the show. Today, her shop, ASM Upholstery, is spoken about with reverence, and she continues to work on cars, boats, planes, and even furniture, mentoring her daughter and staying true to her craft. Her influence remains, inspiring young women entering the automotive world. Leaving Gas Monkey Garage was supposed to be a fresh start, a new family, a place where Tom could truly thrive. But even in a new garage, old problems can pop up. Did Tom find peace with his new partners, like Scott McMillan? Scott McMillan. He joined forces with Jordan Butler, Thomas Weeks, and Scott McMillan to create Fired Up Garage, hoping for a better, more balanced environment where his passion for cars could thrive without the constant battles. This new venture became the spin-off show Misfit Garage, which, surprisingly, was produced by Richard Rawlings himself. This meant that even in his new freedom, Tom was still, in a way, connected to the very person he had clashed with so dramatically. Misfit Garage proved to be quite successful, running for 6 seasons and garnering an impressive average of 1.3 million viewers per episode. But the world of reality television and demanding automotive projects has its own relentless pace, no matter the garage. Despite the change of scenery, Tom eventually decided to leave Misfit Garage as well. His reasons were deeply personal and serious: growing health issues and an overwhelming desire for more family time. Tom's health had become a significant concern, pushing him to reevaluate his priorities. The hate for Scott McMillan in this instance wasn't about a personal feud or direct conflict. Instead, it was a profound frustration with the new environment that, despite being different, still couldn't provide Tom with the peace or balance he so desperately sought. Scott, as one of the key partners in Fired Up Garage, was part of the leadership and operations. The expectations of the show, the relentless workload, and the collective responsibilities of running the garage, which Scott shared, might have inadvertently led to Tom feeling trapped again. The show's format, like Fast and Loud, often compressed days of work into short segments, making the actual effort seem less than it was. While the show was popular, the average profit from each car featured on Misfit Garage was surprisingly small, around $2,000, meaning the cast members' salaries came mostly from the show's popularity, not the car sales. This constant pressure to perform for the cameras rather than just focus on the craft continued to take its toll. It seemed the pressures followed Tom wherever he went, and there was one more partner in the Misfit Garage who became part of the final push that made Tom step away from it all. Thomas Weeks. Continuing the story of Misfit Garage, Thomas Weeks was another key partner alongside Scott McMillan and Jordan Butler in Tom's new venture, Fired Up Garage. Thomas was known as a confident, sharp-tongued car dealer with deep knowledge of classic cars and a passion for restoration. Tom's decision to leave Misfit Garage was a difficult one, driven by his personal well-being rather than direct conflict with his new partners. He needed to prioritize his health and spend more time with his family. Yet, similar to Scott, Thomas Weeks became a figure associated with the collective pressure of the Misfit Garage venture that ultimately became the final straw for Tom. While there was no personal animosity, the ongoing expectations, the heavy workload, and the general dynamic within the Misfit Garage team, including Thomas's role in it, pushed Tom to his breaking point. He was looking for a fresh start, a less stressful environment, but the nature of the show and the business meant the grind continued. The show's success, while good for ratings, meant more demands, more deadlines, and less personal time for Tom. This situation prevented Tom from finding the truly balanced and less stressful life he craved. Thomas, as the final named partner in Tom's last major TV venture, embodied the culmination of these frustrations. His presence in the demanding Misfit Garage environment represented the continued pressure that ultimately forced Tom into early retirement from the spotlight. After Misfit Garage faded from TV, Thomas Weeks, like Tom, stepped away from the cameras. He continued to restore and sell classic cars behind the scenes, sticking to his roots and old-school style, proving that his passion for cars was genuine, even without the spotlight. Tom Smith's journey through the world of Fast and Loud and Misfit Garage reveals a hidden truth behind the shiny cars and loud personalities. His broken silence exposes the deep personal struggles, the creative battles, and the relentless pressures that ultimately forced him to step away from the spotlight.